If you haven't seen us before, we just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves for a moment. My name is Brett. I'm a technical success manager with SignalWire. I've been here for about 7 months or so. My job focuses around meeting our customers as they get up to speed with SignalWire and helping them and guide them in the right direction of building their applications and just learning how to use our platform all in all. And over to this side of me is Daniele.
Hi, everybody. I'm Daniele. I'm at SignalWire. I'm a developer relations manager. In a few words, I take care, for example, about the technical documentation of the products that we release. So I make sure that it is easy to read, to understand by other developers, and that the process leading to the documentation is compatible with our quality standards. Brett?
Yep. So for those of you that haven't been with us before, this is a little bit longer and a much more hands-on version of our previous LiveWires. So that being said, we'll take about an hour. I'll take a few minutes to introduce the concept of a LiveWire, talk about more of the conceptual things behind the video API itself and what makes it really stand out compared to some other products that you might think are similar to it. And then I'll hand the reins over to Daniele and we'll get to a deep dive of the application itself. And as that deep dive is going on, we'll actually have you get your hands dirty in building the application with us. That way, by the end of this presentation, you will quite literally have your own video conferencing platform similar to Zoom in essence, to take home and use for your personal or business uses. At the end, we do ask you stick around. We do have a 1-minute survey that we ask everybody fill out. Just lets us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And then we'll break apart and have a Q&A session as well. That being said, if you haven't ever been to one of our LiveWires, all it is it's a video series where we talk about SignalWire's different technologies and everything that you can do with it. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. It works as far as how it works. Each LiveWire, we cover a different use case that can be accomplished with our APIs. This one, like I said, will be split into a few different parts as we go through our video API as a whole. Just a little preface, if you are not currently a SignalWire customer, you will need to get this application running after the LiveWire is over. You will need a SignalWire account. I would like to preface that it's free to set up on SignalWire's website, and I'll include a link in the appendix as well. But there are 3 items you will need: a SignalWire space, a project ID, and an API token. All can be retrieved from your SignalWire space as soon as you create one. Moving right along, just a few quick housekeeping items. During this presentation, we will be working in Code Sandbox. There will be links to the application through Code Sandbox in the chat. I would recommend kind of having the chat open because there will be a lot of things being thrown in that as time goes on. Speaking about the chat, ask questions. We encourage them. And if you want to know more about something, feel free to pop it in there. We have a whole team of people on standby during this workshop to answer them. But please, please, please ask them in the chat so we can keep the ball rolling on the workshop itself. But we will make sure we get your answers, to you. If you don't get the application run by the end, don't worry. We're all developers here. We know what it feels like to not have code run the first time. That being said, we'll be posting a link to the final repo on GitHub where you can just go ahead and clone, and you'll have the fully functioning application from there at the end. Another thing, via the application on Code Sandbox itself, the API credentials in that will be good for about a week. Just because, the API credentials, think of them like your car keys or your house keys. You don't really want other people knowing what that stuff is. When we refresh those credentials, we'll be sending you out an email. That way, you just kind of know. When that happens, going back to the credentials I was talking about in the previous slide, please feel free to take the env file in the application itself and change that with your own credentials. That way you can keep up and running as time goes on. That being said, like I said, keep an eye on the chat because in addition to all the other links, different code snippets that Danielle will be walking you through. If you don't have enough time, or if you're a little bit slower of a typer and are worried about falling behind, we'll be throwing up gists in the chat so that you can essentially copy and paste certain parts of the code as we go. So let's talk about everything else today, and the actual topic of this workshop: why video? A lot of people, talk about the video API, and it's a really cool cutting edge thing. But the question remains, why would you want it? Why would you use it? And let's start with the elephant in the room, which is the remote work movement. If you guys haven't known, we've been in a pandemic for like 2 years now. And because of that, the video conferencing and the video chat market itself has increased by over 500% just last year alone. And even as things begin to return to some semblance of normalcy, 79% of workers see video conferencing as more productive than traditional in-person meetings. What this means is, even though there are people still in the office, people would prefer having a video meeting as opposed to walking down the hall into the conference room. And this is starting to get acknowledged by key business makers and key decision makers within a business, as 82% of company leaders intend to permit remote working at some capacity, even though this return to the workplace is going on. There's this really big movement going on called the Great Resignation, where actually 41% of the current workforce globally is contemplating leaving their jobs, in addition to the 4 million that already had in April. And the 4 million, just to preface, is the United States, not globally. So let's talk about some other options, because we can talk about the remote work movement all day, as it is a big, big topic. But there are a lot of different reasons that you might want to use this. So we covered the idea of internal company meetings, direct Zoom or a Google Hangout replacement, but company interviews from the HR and people ops standpoint. This makes it really, really helpful to have one specific spot where people can go and join and, complete the HR and recruiting process. One really common use case I've heard from customers is the idea of live video estimates. Everything from mechanics with repair shops, everything from, junk removal and garbage removal to cleaning services even, can quite literally have their customers show them what service they're trying to hire them to, and have the business owner all of a sudden be able to generate a quote based around what they see in the video conference itself. Things like broadcasted events, trivia, karaoke, different DJs that want to, increase their brand by having a live stream set straight into their website where other people can join and hop on the call and interact with other people is another really common use case behind it. Customer service and troubleshooting. I like to personally use the idea of IT and AV companies for this. A little fun fact about me is, on top of my day job at SignalWire, I actually do own my own personal IT and AV consultation business. And, one of the things about installing this kind of equipment is you do have to go back and service them. What makes it really, really easy for me is the fact that now, through my website itself, people can join a room with me on a video call immediately, and they can show me what's going on with their equipment, which saves me time and money, because now I know whether or not the situation is dire enough that I need to go out there. Can it be something that I send a technician out to do? Or can it be something I can take 2 minutes real quick while we're on the video call itself to answer and fix the problem at hand? Another really big one is live product demonstrations. I like to use the example of car dealerships with this. But either way, when you're talking about car dealerships, enabling your customers to physically be able to see the vehicle before they even step foot on the lot will greatly increase your chances of making that sale towards the closing time. And then doctors' offices. Like, you hear this idea of telehealth all of the time. And, private practices can now create their own telehealth-esque platform without hiring or joining these really big companies that are going to make them pay an exorbitant amount of money to do so. And let's not forget the fact that you can literally build the video application and then sell it and resell it as a standalone product itself. Even if you don't have, a specific use case for yourself, somebody else that you know does. And you can just turn it around and sell it yourself, which is essentially what we're enabling you to do with this one. So, just to give you an idea of all the different options you have out there. That being said, let's talk about how this will compare to probably the biggest video platform out there, which is Zoom. So without getting into the technical jargon behind it, here's the gist. The video API that SignalWire has is driven by a single cloud-rendered inbound and outbound connection to and from each endpoint. Regardless of how many users are on a call, only one consolidated video stream is sent down to each endpoint, as opposed to other video conference platforms that have to send an upload and a download stream to every other end user on the call. This means that we take up less bandwidth and a whole lot less computer resources while allowing for things like higher video quality and a lot more features. That's actually a really, really big deal across the board. For those of you that joined us earlier, there's a really big hurricane that has gone through the southern part of the United States, and those outer bands have actually hit my house. And all this morning, we only just recently got power back not too long ago, but internet outage is currently happening right now. But because of the low bandwidth required, I'm able to quite literally use my cell phone hotspot to seamlessly join the call. Anyways, moving right along, let's talk about the customizability of our video API as well. You can have complete control over the user experience and can easily be added to your existing applications overall. This stuff includes customizable video layouts and transitions, the ability for pre-produced audio and video content, controllable screen sizes, and so much more, both now and as we continue going forward. Just to give you an idea, something Zoom doesn't do, everything that I see on my screen is exactly what you see on yours, just like everybody else. I know that Danielle is right over there. I know Abby is right below me, and it looks the same across the board, no matter who is looking at the video feed itself. So let's talk about some of the technicality behind the video API and kind of open the hood in such a sense. There are three main parts of the application itself. There's the client browser, which I will kind of describe as the front end or the client side. There's the server side or the back end. And then the third part is SignalWire servers, which you can connect to via the video API. So let's talk about the back end first, which is, again, the server side. All the back end or the server side is just a collection of REST endpoints that you can use to manage and create rooms. These can be based in whatever server language you would want to have. Personally, I grew up learning about JavaScript a lot, and that's one of my favorite languages. I understand I am definitely in the minority on that one. So quite literally pick whatever you would prefer, PHP, Python, you go for it. And now a side note about the backend. For the SignalWire Video API to work, you must create a room before you link a call. They can be created, managed, and deleted through the REST API itself. And then to authorize the users to join, you'll need to request a JSON Web Token or a JWT. Within each token are explicit permissions that tell the application what the user is and cannot be able to do. Moving right along to the front end, or what the client side and the browser side is, this is built through the JavaScript SDK with our communications APIs, and it'll let you build the actual experience in a standards-based way. Effectively, it transforms your browser into this real-time video communication platform to connect with other browsers out there. It communicates with the backend to authenticate the users, and then defines the methods and implements the overall interactivity of the video application itself. But I've talked a lot about the conceptual stuff, so this is about the time where I shut up and let Danielle take the reins from here.
Thanks, Brett. So let's get started. Where I want to start from is by showing you the end result. So this is what we're going to build. You will have video conferencing application, which allows multiple rooms and users to join. Now, what we have prepared for you is the user interface of this application. So what we have here is just the user interface. You can join a room, for example, and you find this handy user interface, which, as you can see, has a black placeholder. This is where the video stream will come in. We have a list of participants on the right. And at the bottom, we have some controls. For example, controls for muting the video, muting the microphone, selecting a layout, and stuff like that. Right now, as you can see, it doesn't work because there is just the UI. So let's leave this and let's do a bit of housekeeping. Again, for people who may have joined a few moments ago. So we are using Code Sandbox. You will receive a link to this sandbox in the chat. But for now, we are not going to focus on this page here, because as Brett was telling you, a video conferencing application using the SignalWire APIs has many components. In particular, there are two important components, which are the front end, which we are looking at now. And then there is a server, a custom server that we need to build in order to obtain tokens from SignalWire. Okay. Again, tokens are like room keys. We get a token for a given user to enter a given room. So what I want to start, where I want to start from, is by writing this server. And for now, this part, I'll write it. You don't have to write anything for now, but be ready, because in a minute, we will write something together. So what we need to build here is a simple, very simple HTTP server. In this case, we have here Node.js server. And what we need is an endpoint to get a token. So that the front end will make a post request to this endpoint to receive a token. And you can see here that we have Express here listening to this endpoint /get token. And we expect the client to tell us three informations: the username, the room, the name of the room that the user wants to join, and whether we should assign moderator permissions to this user. So what we do here is we just get a reference to the username, room name, and all the parameters that we have. And then if you scroll below, you can see that we have an endpoint here. This is an address, an URL pointing to SignalWire servers, and it's where we actually obtain the token. We will make a request to this endpoint to obtain a token from SignalWire. How do we do that? Well, we can declare a token variable, and to obtain it, it's very simple. We just need to perform a post request to the endpoint above. So we can use Axios, which is a very handy library for performing network requests. So we perform a post request where to our endpoint, and we pass some parameters. We tell SignalWire that we want a token for the given username, for the given room name, and we also pass a list of permissions. These permissions are just basically, this is a list of strings. I'll show you what this permission looks like. Something like this, okay? It's just a list of capabilities that indicate what the user can or cannot do. What we do is, if the user should be a moderator, we give him a lot of permissions. If he should be a normal user, we just give them normal user permission. Then we specify some authentication information. This auth basically contains username and password from your SignalWire space. You have to register to obtain this information. And here we go. We have a token. We can extract this token since it is embedded in an Axios object. And here we go. What we can do now, we receive the token from SignalWire. We can forward this token to our front end. And we do that by returning response.json, send it as a JSON object token. Okay, so SignalWire will send us something like this, an object which contains this JSON web token. We just take it and we return it to the client, really as is. Okay. What we can look now is how to actually build this client now that we have the server. So let's go to the code sandbox for the front end. You will receive in a moment this link in the chat. Okay, I see you, the link in the chat. You can open it. I'll give you a few moments because it can take some time. And in the meantime, I will explain to you a little bit the user interface of this code sandbox. So on the left, you can see that we have a list of files. You may need to expand some folders to see all the files. And what we will mainly interested about are just two files, basically. Incall, which is here. I'm sorry, you cannot see my mouse pointer, so sorry for that. Incall.js, which is located under source pages, incall.js. And then we are also interested about video.js, which is in source components video.js. So what do these files do? So this is a React application. Incall.js represents the page that we see when we are inside a call. I'll show you what this looks like. We have seen it before. So let's say we join a room. This is the user interface that is defined inside incall.js. For example, it contains buttons and this video here. But the functionalities associated to this black box, which will contain the video stream, are actually located inside video.js again. So in video.js, we have the component which will provide us a video stream, but not only that. In video.js, we have really the core of the application. So it is in video.js that we communicate with SignalWire, that we use the SignalWire SDK and stuff like that. Okay, so hopefully you have been able to open the link and the application should be loading. Again, if you missed it, don't worry if you cannot follow along, because I will write some code. I think it's very important if you are able to write as I type, so that we can build this application together. But in case you cannot follow along, don't worry, because you will find links in the chat for each snippet of code. Okay, so try to follow me, but don't worry if you miss something. Okay, first thing, from your code sandbox, let's fork this so that you have your own personal copy. You should find on the top right of code sandbox a button saying fork. If you don't see that, don't worry, you can just click on the top left button showing some lines. You go to File, Fork Sandbox. You can click that. And now you have your own personal copy. You should see forked at as a title. Okay, I'll give you a few seconds to do that. So, all right, I think we can start. Let's go to this file, video.js. Again, you find it in source, components, video.js. If you go at the top of the file, you find this comment here. It is a to-do, which says import SignalWire SDK. So yeah, this is the most important thing, right? We want to import the SignalWire SDK. We have already installed it for you. You find it installed in your code sandbox. So really, you just have to import it, and we can do it like this. Import star SignalWire from SignalWire/JS. Right. Closing the. Okay. You can find, yeah, this is just a line, but just to get started, you can find the link in the chat. Now, if you go down a little bit, line 12, you find a constant which is called the server location. What is this? Well, this is just the URL to the server that we have written a moment ago. Okay, this is the URL to which we will make a post request to obtain a token, to obtain the key to a given room for a given user. So remember this constant here, server location. Now let's go down again, and you find here the entry point for the video component. You can observe that there are some parameters that we get passed to the video component. And for example, we have join details. Basically, what you type here in the login page will end up here. So you will have a room name and a username, and whether it should be moderator or not. Then we have some callbacks. Don't worry about those. Really, the join details is all you need to know about for now. So let's go down again. You should see another to-do. And we can start working on the interesting stuff now. So the first thing that we want to do is to get a token. Again, we just wrote a server to do that. We need to make a request to this server to get the token. How to do that? Again, we can use Axios. It's just a REST call. So token, await, because it's asynchronous, Axios.post, where to the server location. And then, if you remember, we called our endpoint like this, get token. Okay, what we need to pass to this request are a few parameters that, as we were saying before, are just the username. So username, and we get that from details.name. And we can pass a room name. This is all stuff that we get as parameters of our component. And should it be a moderator? Details.mod. Okay. We have our token. We can extract it. Again, it is wrapped inside some sort of envelope from Axios. So we can do token equal token.data.token. And that's it. We have our key. We can now obtain a reference to a room on the SignalWire servers. So this room will be our handle to do everything we need to do. For example, to control the devices that are attached to a room, to mute our video, stuff like that. Everything we will do it from this room object. And I'll show you in a moment how to do that. In the meantime, you find in the chat the link for the previous snippet of code. So this room, now we start using actually the SignalWire library finally. We need to call a method. This method is here. So SignalWire video.
Hey, Danielle, this is a scene. Well, first, sorry to interrupt you. Maybe it's a good time to ask everybody if they're following along, and if there's any major questions here. Just maybe let people take a mental pause, please.
Yes, absolutely. If you have any question, feel free. What we did for now is basically we have built a server. Yeah. So, yep.
Got it. I'm just saying, everybody raise your hand if you have questions. There's an option down at the bottom that's got the hand, hit it, and then we can see if you have questions.
All right, that's good. Daniel, we can go back and like Brian said, anybody that has questions, please keep typing in the chat. We'll help everybody. But Daniel, back to you. Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, we've built this server. Don't worry, you will find the code for this server after our demonstration. So no, don't worry about that. We have obtained the key to a room. Now we need to obtain a reference to this room, our handle. So we do it like this: room equal await SignalWire.video.create room object. This will create a JavaScript object, which will be our reference. And we pass some parameters. Which parameters? Well, first, you guessed it, the token. We must also pass a parameter which is called root element ID. And I'll show you in a moment what this is. For now, let's give it a value of temp. This root element ID is just the ID of the element in your HTML, in your DOM, which will show the video from the room. If you go down, you will find a template here, and you find this div which has an ID equal to temp. So this is the element which will show your video. Going back to the room, we also pass another key, which is called video, just to enable the video features. Video true. All right. So we have now obtained this room object. We are not yet inside the room, but we have to obtain this room object. You'll find the code for this in the chat again. Okay. Then moving to step 3, we need to connect the events to the room. This is something that we have prepared for you, but it's nothing really interesting. It's just basically it's a function that takes care to update the UI whenever, for example, a new member joins the room or leaves the room and stuff like that. You can simply uncomment this piece of code. So you will have a call to connect events. This is needed for UI. And finally, we can join the room. And this part here, it's really as simple as writing a few characters. The only thing that you have to do to join a room is just await room, which is our handle, dot method join. Whoops, join. And by doing this, you're joining the room. Find the code for this again in the chat. Moving to step 5, obtaining the list of layouts and devices. So again, this is UI related. What we need to do is to fill in the selectors. For example, if you want to change your input source for the video or your speakers, stuff like that. Don't worry about that. Just remove the comments around this piece of code here. And what this is doing, for example, let's take the cameras. To obtain the list of cameras that are available on your machine, you just have to call this method. So signalwire.webrtc.getCameraDevices with permissions. This will make sure to ask the user for permissions to access the device and will provide you a list, a simple list that you can use. Okay, finally, we can connect device watchers. These again are used on step 6, are used to update the UI when, for example, you connect external headphones or stuff like that. And if you have followed along up until step 6, you can now try to save and join the room. So I'll try it with you. I've saved the file. I will enter my name. I will enter a room name. My room. Or to save, just hit Control S or Command S if you're on Mac, or File, Save. All right, you can then join the room. Let's enlarge this. It could take a while. Don't worry, this is just because of Code Sandbox. It basically has to start a container each time, but in real settings, this is instantaneous. And you see that it works. I'm streaming my video in a virtual room. And hi, James, somebody has joined. Nice. So let me leave this. Oh, by the way, you can see that this button, for example, doesn't work. I'm trying to mute myself, but it doesn't work. We're going to fix it in a moment. Let's leave this room for now. Okay. To make the buttons work, we're going to the other file, to the incall file. So again, let's go to source on the left-hand side of the Code Sandbox interface. Source components, open the pages folder, and you should find an incall.js file. I'll give you a few moments to get there. Okay, everybody there? Let's scroll down in this file until we see another to-do comment that we can start filling. Well, there is one applying a list of default users. Don't worry about this. Keep scrolling down. You should see on line here, around line 150, around 52. This is the callback that gets activated when you click the mute video button. And we can start implementing this button. So we have to mute the video on first click and then unmute it on second click. How do we do that? Well, in this page, we have a reference to the room object that we obtained when we joined the room. So we can do room dot anything we want. To mute your video, you can just do like this. Await, because it's an asynchronous call. Room dot video. Yeah, no trick. It's as simple as that. The following line, don't worry about it. It's just to update the interface to make the button red or blue. What is actually muting the video is just this line. So extremely simple. And to unmute it, you guessed it, room.video. Okay, you'll find the link for this snippet in the chat, as usual. Okay, the video mute now should work. We are going to implement something else. So there was a set layouts selector. This set layouts, I'll show you what it is. So here, see here at the bottom, select layout. If you click this, you basically can choose the layout of the room. As Brett was saying before, everyone in a SignalWire room will see the same thing because the room is rendered on the cloud. Okay, so we can choose a layout that everyone will see. How do we do that? Let's scroll down. Let's find the button related to the layout. Here it is on line 226. So again, set car layout here is just for the UI. Don't worry about it. What we have to do here is to wait room dot what? Well, set layout. And we should give, we should pass here a name of the layout. We will get as value here of the selection a valid name for a SignalWire layout. So we can do something like this: name value. Now, by adding this line, we change the layout of the room for all participants. Okay. Find the code of this in the chat. It's just a line, really. And we are almost done. Really, our video conferencing application is almost ready. We just need one little piece, one little final piece. And it's the screen sharing. How can screen sharing be complicated? Really, if I think about screen sharing, I imagine all sorts of mess, but in reality, it's extremely simple. So you scroll down where you see another to-do create screen share. This is the button, the blue button that you can click to share your screen. Line 2, 4, 5. Okay, we have an SC object, which is used which will contain the screen sharing object. Okay, and we'll keep a reference to it so that we can call methods on it later. So on this screen share object, how do we start it? How do we make the screen sharing? We can await room dot as usual. And we call this method, which is called, well, create screen share object. Let me move this. Okay, really, it's as simple as that. And while we are here, let's also add the functionality to stop the screen sharing feature. So down below, we just take the reference that we have saved with set screen share object. Now we have an object which is called screen share object. Think of this as React magic. Dot, we can call methods on this, and we will call the leave method. Okay. Find the code for this in the chat. I see it says ready to be shared. Save your work again. Command S, Control S, or from the menu. And we can try it. Let's try it. Let's go here. Let's enter my name. Let's enter a name for the room. Let's use again my room. So other people, if you want, join. Okay. I already see someone else there. Okay, let's try to mute my video. I will click this button at the bottom, and my video is now muted. Then let's try to change layout. So we have a list of layouts here. You cannot see my list of layouts. Don't worry, just click on select layout, and you should see that we can make people smaller, larger, depends how you can choose the grid size that you want. Or we can try to screen share. So I will click the blue button. I will select a window to share, and here it is. My window, and don't know if you can see it, but here it is. So we have built a video conference application with really most of this code is for the UI. The important stuff is just a few lines of code. One final trick, if you go to the bottom of the screen, you see a green button which says invite. Now try clicking on it, and you will get some URLs. And you can use this to invite friends, basically. And I invite you to invite some friends to this call by using these links and see what happens. All right. Thank you for following along. Brett, want to say a few words?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Danielle. So that kind of concludes the workshop end of this, but a few last minute little things I do want to touch on. This slide deck will be made available to you that has a whole bunch of different resources ready to go for you. We have a new developer portal that is filled to the brim with different guides, use cases, code snippets, everything, and not only with our video API, but all of our other APIs out there. That's at your disposal. The learn more about the video API link will send you directly into the technical write-up for this application specifically. You can click the third link to watch our original LiveWire when the video API was released. Sign up for new SignalWire space, and at the end of this, there will also be a link for those of us that are watching this on YouTube later on that wants to fill out the survey as well. They can be more than happy to. Moving right along, as far as other repos, or resources, I should say. On the slide deck, we do have a front-end link to the code sandbox and a back-end link ready to go for you. After this is all said and done, I'll also be linking the repo from GitHub to the final application, like I said at the beginning. If you have any questions whatsoever about the video API or how to get started or trying to learn more information about it, you're more than welcome to email our sales department at sales@signalwire.com. Conversely, we are a community of developers, and it's one really cool thing about the way we run. So please, please, please join our Slack community and ask questions in the SignalWire Video API channel. There you might not only get answers from the 80+ SignalWire employees out there, but you might also get your questions answered by people like yourself that are developing cool things on it as well. One last thing about the GitHub repo itself. This being a really cool application that we're super excited for everyone to use. If you wouldn't mind hopping on that GitHub repo at the end, the link will be in the chat here soon, and just giving it a quick little star, show it some love. That way we can get that out there and start, showing it off a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and post a link to that GitHub app in the chat in case it hasn't been done already. I did want to say one last thing, and then we will get on into the fun stuff. A couple of really cool things. Thank you guys for showing up to this. This is the first time we've ever done a LiveWire in this format, and we were really, really excited to be able to do it and, to share this experience with you guys. And as a thank you, keep an eye out on your email for later on, because I believe we're buying lunch for everybody that DoorDash is available in their region. So that will come in an email here soon. So keep an eye out for that. And last but not least, and then we'll start the Q&A session. We really want to get the word out about this video application stuff. So if you post a picture of you and a friend, or if you're not like me and actually have a lot of friends, you can post a screenshot of you and your friends on a video call with this application to social media, tag SignalWire, and earn 1,500 minutes of video API usage completely free. So that is a really awesome way to get well over 24 hours worth of your first video usage on our dime. So feel free to do that whenever you guys get off the application. That being said, I mentioned the starring on the GitHub stuff, so let's go ahead. Feel free to ask some questions in the chat, and Danielle and I will kind of sort through answering them.
Hey, Brett.
Yes.
Brad asked a question about 20 minutes ago. What was the max number of people for max number of people for a room currently? I'm not sure if that was answered, or I heard it being answered. Do you guys know what the max number?
Yeah, Brett, would you mind if I took that one?
Feel free.
Yeah, cool. Well, first of all, great question. One of the key things that we do at SignalWire, which Brett talked about, is the whole cloud rendering portion of our technology. That allows us to scale our technology to like hundreds or even thousands of people. The exact number of participants depends on how many people are just watching and listening versus how many people are presenting, how many people's audio and video is turned on. But the answer is, from upwards of hundreds to 1,000 people, right? If you want to experiment more with this, we'd love to get on a call with you and just show you how you can build an application with like thousands of people.
Sweet, sweet. And let's see. So we did get the question of what makes this different from Jitsi out there. Jitsi is an open source video application, in case you guys have never heard of it. It does make it really, really easy to embed into different websites. But I guess one of the big fundamental differences between our video API out there and Jitsi or some of the other free to use softwares out there is, first off, like I said, the connectivity of it. And then on top of that, you have the flip side, which is easily not just embeddable, but fully integratable into other applications out there. So embedding is completely fine, but complete and total application integration, where you can actually utilize the video API to complement some other functionalities of your application itself, is something that Jitsi isn't quite there yet as far as an open source platform is concerned. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Can this be branded for a particular business? And Asim, you might be able to answer this one, but I believe so.
I did, and the answer is yes. It's custom code. You can brand it however you want to. You can put your company name. You can change the colors. You can change the layout. In fact, this is what Brett and Daniele provided you was a template. It's just a starting ground. You can build your own application however you want to from that template.
And it looks like Eric has their hand raised at some point. Eric, do you have a quick question?
Yeah, hi, Brett and Danielle. Quick question about the technology being used. I'm assuming it's WebRTC, right? Yes. So one of the issues, I'm using a competitor right now for web conferencing. One of the issues that I've run into is when a client will cast to a smart TV or through Roku, WebRTC has some issues. I'm wondering if you guys have that worked out. I guess it may be a platform issue rather than the actual technology issue. Have you guys experimented with any of that at all? Because it's it's a significant issue I have to try to overcome.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting use case. I can honestly say we've never tried, but that might be something interesting. But
repeat that use case again. I missed the first component of that.
Eric, if you want to hop back up for a second.
Yeah, sure. So it's one-on-one or one-to-many video conferencing. And it's whenever, let's say, for example, I'm sharing my screen just like we did today. If my clients are casting to their smart TV or through a Roku, I've found significant issues through Roku or Chromecast. But like if you have a Samsung Smart TV, it seems to work okay. It just depends on the platform your end user is on.
We've not done that. I've not personally done that either. But if you see an issue, I would recommend you let us know. I don't see or anticipate an issue with that from Chrome to like Chromecast to TV. So it's definitely an area where I've not done it. But I do have one of those wonderful Samsung TVs. It's probably
I've done it on the Samsung.
I think I've done it, but
Brian, I have done it when we were doing the wellness initiative. I Chromecasted to my TV.
Well, we've had some components on our team that have done it. Apparently, it could be hit or miss. There could be network issues, something that we've not taken into account. So by all means, let us know if you run into problems.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest things too, I might actually try this afterwards, but hypothetically WebRTC is super connectable. So, and the fact that it's, Samsung TVs are compatible with the Tizen operating system makes complete sense, but I might actually have to try that a little bit later. So moving right along, do we have another hand raised in the crowd somewhere?
There is a question about mobile apps. Do you want to take that one, Brett, or you want me to talk about it?
Seem, if you want to talk about that one, feel free.
Yeah, so Eddie Chu asked a question about an API for mobile apps. That's a great question. Towards the end of this month, we will be releasing a React Native SDK. So that'll allow you to develop the same video conferencing application that Brett and Danielle just showed you for iOS and Android devices as well.
And Paul, do you have your hand raised? Do you want to?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So when we're talking about minutes, is that per video that is on? So each video would start, like if 2 people are on, it would be technically 2 minutes, 2 streams going, eating into the minutes?
Correct. So the minutes are per minute per person overall. So just to thank you for giving me a way to clarify that, but yes.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And is it any different if you're screen sharing audio, or is it always the same?
To my knowledge, somebody else from product might be able to answer that one, but to my knowledge, it's the same. Whatever video box essentially counts as a video feed, if that kind of helps clear it up.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter the number of people who are viewing that. It's just the actual broadcast people that are on the screen share video.
Well, the amount of people viewing it would be in the room. Oh, I see what you mean, but yeah.
Yeah. So if I may add, I think, again, great question. Pricing of minutes is exactly like how Brett described it. Having said that, I think if you're looking for pricing for different use cases where maybe like a few people are talking and everybody else is being streamed to, we are working on some new pricing methods for that as well. So, I wouldn't let that stop you from building the app. We can always have a conversation and figure out, what works and what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just to answer some other questions out there that have been kind of going through the chat. There are a lot of them, so thank you so much for asking them. Just trying to keep up with them. Is SignalWire Hipaa compliant? Is the video API Hipaa compliant? Yes. Yes, it is. Us being an API company, we can make things as compliant and as encrypted essentially as you need them to be. Yes to it being branded. I think I answered that question before, but it popped up again. And can you set an expiration time on the room? Absolutely, you can. If you want to limit call time overall, going back to, the minutes and everything that we're giving you for free, you can 100% do that. But yeah, I think we are good. Like I said, if you guys have any questions about the next steps, please feel free to talk to sales, navigate over to that room. That little compass icon in the top right corner will lead the way to you. Let it be your Northern Star. That being said, like I said, 1,500 free minutes for anybody that wants to, hop on social media, share a screenshot of you all using the video application. This slide deck will remain available, so feel free to just make sure you have that link. and everything else, and give that, repo a star on GitHub. We'd appreciate it. But other than that, you all have a great day. Okay.